Hello everyone, welcome on in. It's a new week here on Betting Weekly Game Bet Match. And I'd like to say, looking ahead to two tournaments this week, we're only going to concentrate on one because we only have one draw. I'd like to say, looking at the next tournaments this week is our senior ATP Tour handicapper. It is Sean Calvert. Good morning to you, Sean.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm all right.
Yes.
Actually, I had a great time at that boxing on Saturday. It was ace.
You enjoyed it?
Loved it. It's not often you see me coming on a show saying I absolutely loved something. In fact, have I ever said that before?
Never. Never.
I think I might have done once.
I thought you would be moaning about getting out of there. I couldn't believe the WhatsApp message you sent me. Said you got out there straight away.
Yeah. That was only because of you, though. If you hadn't have said, you got to get out of there lively, I'd probably still be there now. But it was great. You got your own little entrance. You just walk in, pop, straight in there, like no problem. You got your own section, like with all the little bars and restaurants and all that sort of stuff. They serve Magners on tap.
Wow.
You didn't mention that. You see, you kept that one to yourself, but yet they serve Magners on tap. And it was great. I had Dubois to knock him out, didn't I? So, and then after that, because you said you got to get out quick, the guy I'm with actually is the fastest walking guy you'll ever meet in your life. He's unbelievable. Yeah, I almost have to jog to keep up with him. That's his normal walking pace. So I said, look, we got to go. As soon as Joshua hit the floor, we were like, we're off. So we went down, we got into Wembley Stadium station about probably 10 minutes after the fight finished. And there was a train sat there, sort of ready to go, but it's timetabled, isn't it? So it had to wait about another 5 or 10 minutes. But we got on there. If we hadn't got on that train, I think it would have been a nightmare. But yeah, it was great. I loved it. That's it. Simple as that.
Yeah, brilliant. And the atmosphere of the fight must have been amazing.
I said, hang on, actually, I've missed something out. There was something I didn't like.
I know what it is.
Do you even need to ask?
Touching hands. Why? Reaching out, touching me.
Why do they have to play this everywhere all the time? It's horrendous. I mean, I'd forgotten about that. I mean, I might downgrade it from loved it to really enjoyed it apart from that. And it was like 10 minutes long. I don't know whether there's like an EP version of this record, but it felt like it was on for about 10 years. Obviously, Oasis were on as well, which they went on for long, but that was good. And then they spoiled it all by knocking out an EP version of Sweet Caroline, which seemed to last for about a month. Why?
It's now, there's something, British boxing, that's what they do. They put it on, there'll be 98,000 people at Wembley Stadium and 65,000 would like it and the others won't. I mean, it's part and parcel now of British boxing. But
you didn't mention this, I noticed. You didn't mention anything about this propensity for them to play Sweet Caroline. That wasn't mentioned.
They go everywhere. Any British sporting event, they play that.
Yeah, but why? Why are they doing it?
No idea. It went down well once at the Euros over here when England got to the final in Italy, and it's stuck ever since. It's always been a boxing song. But now it goes everywhere. You go to American football games, they play it. It's everywhere. They try the UFC. It's on everywhere.
I'll gloss over.
And then
that.
You have a bit of free from desire. Na 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 na.
That's not great either. That's not great either. I don't like that either. But that was the only downside. Other than that, it was brilliant. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, brilliant. Unfortunately, what wasn't brilliant was our results last week. We didn't have a great week at all. Terrible week. We're trying to gloss over that, but it's. I said at the start of the show, I was speaking to producer John before you come on there. This is the part of the year I don't know why. It's just players aren't motivated. You can see that the results are going crazy. I mean, in the women's tournament, there's a podcast with Rory Giovanni, with myself, talking about the WTA this week. But one of the tournaments last week, it was a 250 event, and the top four seeds got by through to the last 16, and none of the 8 seeded players got to the quarterfinals. So that's what you're sort of up against at this time of year. It's a real funny time.
It can play to your advantage. It can and it can't. Sometimes I'm torn between looking at statistics and going on gut feel. Today, I'm going on pretty much on gut feel because I think you kind of have to on the Asian swing because things aren't as they seem, are they? As you said, the motivation. Some people are, and some people aren't. You have to kind of second guess who's likely to be motivated or fatigued and who isn't. So there is quite a lot of guesswork in this few weeks of the tour. But if you get it right, the rewards are there.
Yeah, look at motivation. There's 2 Chinese players in the final of the Chinese events today as we're recording this, coming up a little bit later on.
Yeah.
So the motivation may be for those players from that part of the world. We've got one tournament. We're going to record tomorrow with the second tournament this week. We have one tournament in Japan. The other tournament is in China, isn't it? It's
a day late in Beijing, yeah. Zverev's
Beijing.
Already pulled out of that. So that gives you a clue about... And, he would have had I should imagine, a decent-sized appearance for you to turn up there, and he still pulled out. So that tells you kind of what sort of state the players are in at the minute, having played the Olympics as well as the normal schedule. And as I said, even Alcaraz, who's not a man given to controversy, he's talking about. I think he even went as far as to say it's going to kill us or something, didn't he? He said the schedule, something's going to happen. It wouldn't surprise me. It's a terrible thing to think, but they're pushed to the absolute limit, these guys, and something has to give at some point. Often, it's the Asian swing.
The Asian swing. And you can see motivation is really lacking in a lot of these players here. So when you look at this draw, you look at the tournament, it's probably worth noting it is the end of the season and, be very, very careful with your wagers. But we are talking about the Japan Open. It's over in Tokyo, and it's a 32-man draw. It's a 500 event. And it's a decent looking 500 event. Before we break down the bracket, before we look at the odds with Bet Rivers, what are the conditions like here? I can imagine it being quite hot. And also, if you look at the previous winners here, last year it was run by Shelton, then in Fritz, then we've had Kyrgios to win it as well.
Yep.
I would suggest looking at the winners, if you're just looking at them without looking at the stats, I suggest it's going to be quite fast because of the players. The big servers have done quite well here.
Yeah, it's usually played on a pretty decent pace, deco turf, outdoor hard court. The ATP nowadays they seem to have given up telling us what surface it's on. They're just putting hard, which isn't that helpful. If the tournament has changed the surface, I'm not going to know unless it's fairly been well publicised. I assume this is still played on the same deco turf hard court that it's been played on for the last couple of years. Last year they used Dunlop AO balls. Looks like they're using Dunlop again this year. It's usually pretty quick and quite low bouncing, so it tends to suit the players that have gone well on grass. You mentioned Kyrgios there. Shelton hasn't gone well on grass, but he should. I think he will at some point in his career. So those are the sort of conditions. The average is 80% holds, 72.5% first serve points won. Not so many of the games have gone over 10.5 in set one, as you would expect in a quick tournament. Again, that could be a motivation thing. In the last 2 years since it's been back on the tour since COVID, it's only 28% of the matches have gone over 10.5 games in set one. So that's not a bet that I'll be going for too often this week. Although conditions would suggest it would favour that. Tiebreak matches, 44% of the matches have featured a tiebreak in the last couple of years. Now, last year, 48% of the underdogs won at this tournament. Almost half of the underdogs won. The average is
that shows you, doesn't it? The motivation question.
Yeah.
Coming at this time of year.
It does. I mean, the average is only 32%. So that doesn't always happen. But this tournament wasn't played this week last year. Last year it was played, I think it was played just after the Shanghai Masters, I think. It was certainly played in October. It wasn't played in this week. It was played about a month later than it is now. The best round's always round one, though. That average is 36% over the years. Now, you mentioned the weather a minute ago. It looks all right until Friday. Not particularly hot either, about 25, 26 degrees, quite pleasant. Not the sort of temperature we saw in China last week. But then it's meant to rain for a week. So this tournament does have a roof. The centre court does. I'm not sure about the outside courts. I don't think they do, but the centre court certainly does. So that's going to be brought into play. So that's something to think about as well. The guys that potentially go well on indoor hard. 'Cause if that forecast is correct, from Friday it's going to be pretty much solid rain for the rest of the tournament. As far as the trends are concerned, you said it yourself. It tends to be suited to power players. Last year, Shelton won and Karatsev was the runner-up. Two players that really like to play attacking tennis. The year before, Fritz and TFO, similar kind of style, as you said. Nick Kyrgios has won here. Only 3 number one seeds have won the title here since 2010. So it tends to be a tournament that doesn't the number one seeds don't go well at, but the power players do.
Is that rain I could hear on your roof out there?
Yeah. I've put the washing out, so obviously it's going to be raining. Oh, yeah. It's not supposed to rain today. And Tasha said, can you just put this out? It's not going to rain today. Just put this washing out. Okay, I've done it, obviously. Yeah, it's raining, as you can hear on my mic.
I've got the maid to put the washing out. I have to ring the bell and get her to bring in.
Well, things don't happen like that in the Calvert household, unfortunately.
I've never put any washing out. I've never used the washing machine. I've never used the washing machine. I've never used the washing machine. I've never used an iron.
Outrageous.
And I've never, ever, ever wired a plug. I don't know any electricity. Someone said to me, "As a plug, you've got to put a plug in." Well, I used to have a row all the time, and with the missus.
What do you do when there's nobody there, like for washing?
I just I've got so many clothes. I just wear the same.
Wait until someone comes
leave them
back
for 2 weeks and someone's back. Yeah, I've never used a washing machine. I've never. And then, when we used to have a row, we sort of break away here. But when I used to have a row with the missus, she used to go. I used to go out and take the dog for a walk and go to the pub or something like that, and she would go for a cup of tea. And we used to. I used to cut. Sorry. I used to go for a cup of tea. She used to storm out the house, so she used to cut off the plug of the kettle. So knowing I couldn't put it in because I couldn't wire the plug. So it got to the point
where
they couldn't, because she knew that I'd go for a cup of tea, so that I couldn't wire it. So she knew she was just being nasty. But it got to the point where the lead was so small that the plug, you couldn't put the plug in. So instead of me doing it, I had to go and buy a new kettle. So I went through about 10 kettles a year.
There are plenty of other ways you could make a cup of tea. For example, just microwaving the water or boiling it on a hob.
I've never used a hob. I've never done anything. So anyway, I'm serious.
This is painting quite a weird picture of how you live your life here.
I've never done anything. Okay, let's have a look at the draw. Number 1 seed is Taylor Fritz, as Sean said there. The number 1 seeds haven't had a great record. Number 1 seed is Taylor Fritz. He's obviously won this tournament before in 2022. He's in the top half of the draw with Ben Shelton, scheduled to meet in the quarterfinal in an All-American match. Casper Ruud is also in that section and Hurkacz-Giron. That makes up the top half of the draw. Dangerous of floaters, Matteo Berrettini, was up against Van der Santrup in round 1. He could play Fritz, who meets Fritz in a tough opener as well. Cilic is in there as well against Nishikori. I mean, we've gone back to 1998 here or something like that.
2014 US Open final repeat, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a long time ago. Felix Auger-Aliassime is unseeded. He's in there as well. So it's quite a loaded top half of the draw. In the bottom half of the draw, I would argue that the bottom half of the draw is slightly easier. Tommy Paul is in there, and he's seeded to play Tsitsipas in the quarterfinals, out of form. Francis Tiafoe, after making his run at the US Open, makes his reappearance here, and he's the number 7 seed. Herbert Hurkacz is also number 2 in the bottom half of the draw. Also in that bottom half of the draw, Jack Draper, Ugo Humbert, who could go well, Alex Michelsen, who's in a bit of form, and the man who beat Novak Djokovic at the US Open, Alexei Popyrin. Let's have a look at the outright market. Taylor Fritz, the favourite, at 4-1. Tommy Paul, 8-1. The Americans dominating the betting. Felix Auger-Aliassime is 9. Jack Draper, 9. Herbert Hurkacz, 9. Ben Shelton, 9. Tsitsipas, 12. Rune, 14. Casper Ruud, 14. Tiafoe, 14. Berrettini, 17. Ugo Humbert, 17. Humbert, 22. And Nakashima, 22. I mean, all of those, you can make pretty much of a case for all of those to go quite deep in this tournament, I suppose. Where's your angle in here?
This is a difficult one, isn't it? As you said, I think the bottom half is slightly the easier, but the layers aren't giving you much. I mean, Tommy Paul's second favourite for this tournament, and he's one that I potentially would have gone for in this bottom half, but plus 800 is skinny, isn't it? Because Tommy Paul, as you said, is seeded to meet Tsitsipas. I can't imagine Tsitsipas will be much of a contender here, based on the fact that it's quick, low bouncing, similar-ish to sort of grass, as similar as you'll get on a hard court. Those aren't the sort of conditions Tsitsipas liked. I think he did okay at the Laver Cup last week, but it's much slower there. Much slower court. This is much quicker. It won't suit Tsitsipas. Hurkacz I'll talk about in a minute, but he's never won a match here. Again, low bouncing, not ideal for someone like Hurkacz. So in the bottom half, I'm taking an absolute punt on one who's not even close to being on your screen there.
Wow.
Which is Hurkacz-Giron at 80-1. I'm looking for players here that aren't jaded. They aren't tired. They should have something left in the tank, and they should have conditions that suit them. Hurkacz-Giron almost made the final here last year as a qualifier. So he played 6 matches. He was very, very close to making the final. He was only a tiebreak away, a couple of points away from making the final last year against Ben Shelton. And it's not a surprise that he enjoys these sort of conditions. Won a grass court title in July, played very well for most of the grass swing, apart from the week that I backed him in Eastbourne, incidentally. The rest of the grass swing, he played really, really well. So conditions clearly suit him. He's very well rested. He's only played 4 matches since winning that Newport title in July. So he really appeals at 80-1. I'll talk about him a bit more in a minute when I talk about the Hurkacz match, but I think 80-1 is a real interesting price on. If he beats Hurkacz, he's got potentially what must be an exhausted Jack Draper, maybe, in the next round. Tiafoe, I'm not convinced he's going to beat Nakashima. Tiafoe's got a great record against Nakashima, by the way. I think 5-0 head-to-head, but he's going to be exhausted as well after everything he's done at Cincinnati, the US Open. He's gone to Laver Cup as well. Now he's here. These matches aren't being played till tomorrow. I wouldn't be surprised if there's 1 or 2 withdrawals before then. That wouldn't surprise me at all. And as I said, Tsitsipas I don't really see as a big contender. Popyrin played a lot of tennis. I can't see him being as lucky again as he was in Montreal. And Tommy Paul's too short. So bottom half, Giron. I've got one in the top half as well. I'm gonna, again, similar sort of thinking. I'm taking Berrettini here. I think he's 17-1, I think is the price on him. Again, conditions should suit. Quick, low bouncing, similar to grass. We all know how effective he is on the grass. Pretty well rested as well. He's only played 6 matches in 2 months since winning those titles on clay at altitude in July. He's only played half a dozen matches since then. I think he won all his matches in Davis Cup, one of which was against Van der Zandschulp, I think. So again, it's about a guy that should have the energy. The conditions should suit him. So yeah, those are the 2 that fit the bill for me.
Yeah, 2 nice prices there, Giron and Berrettini. Berrettini, obviously, if he can get over his fitness problems, which he has, it's a sort of tournament that if he was fit, he'd be favourite for. So it's a little bit of a value play there against an opponent. It sets up that second round match against Fritz or Fils is probably the reason why he is there. And obviously, Giron playing Hurkacz. If we can get past Hurkacz in round 1, you're looking at he's going to be a third of the price he is now. So lots of value to be had on the outright market. Now, the matches start at 10 p.m. this evening. Monday evening, 10 p.m. Eastern time. So make sure you head across to the Bet Rivers website to get down on these plays very early, because there could be some withdrawals, there could be some things that affect the draw. But the action starts this evening at 10 o'clock. The reason it's a little bit late, this podcast, is because we're governed by the draw. If the draw comes out late, there's nothing we can do. So there's the draw on there. There are some matches we are going to discuss. And we move on to the first match, which is going to be an epic one. You've only got to look at the total games line here to see where this match is going to go. Reilly Opelka up against Ben Shelton. Shelton's minus 315 on the money line. Opelka plus 245. But the interesting one here is all about the total games. Over and under 25.5, with over minus 122 and under minus 105. You've got to go a long way to find more games than that on the total in a best of 3 sets.
There won't be, will there? That's the top of the shop, isn't it? 25 and a half.
It's very, very high. They have met once before, and it did cash. Shelton won in 2024, and he won 7-6, 7-6. So it cashed in straight sets. So that's the kind of game that Bet Rivers are expecting again here. Helka's been in pretty poor form. He obviously hasn't played a lot this year, but done well at the Davis Cup, won 2 matches against people that really, I would have given him a game. But in competitive tennis, I would have done. In competitive tennis, he hasn't really won a match since Washington back in July.
I think we're going to see, as I said, I think we're going to see some tired performances this week. A lot of this is just down to sort of gut feel and sort of intuition and assumptions, which is what the Asian swing is all about. You know, you've got to try and find some value where you think there's going to be players that are playing less than their optimal level, and I think Shelton might be one of them. I know he won this title, defending champion, but you know the schedule's just been crazy with the Olympics, and you know I've already talked about Alcaraz and saying how crazy it is. Shelton's coming here from a very slow indoor hard court in Laver Cup. After all the energy that he's put into the US swing and the US Open, he's another one that talked about the schedule. Shelton a little while ago, he was saying how hard it is for him to get up for a lot of these tournaments. Yes, he's the defending champion here. That might help him, but you know he's not going to conjure up the energy from nowhere. He's got to he plays his best tennis when he's pumped up, and sometimes it's hard to do that when you're going miles and miles away from home, the other side of the world. You just played your swing, which he has. I'm not saying he's going to lose this match, but it might well take him a while to get going. And as I said, Tokyo was played in October last year after Shanghai, so he'd already played Shanghai and got himself used to the conditions when he won this last year. He's not going to have that luxury this time. If you look at that Cincinnati meeting that you talked about, Opelka actually won 62% on second serve that day compared to 48% for Shelton. So he was some way the better player from the back of the court. Unfortunately for him, he went 0-5 on breakpoint chances. Shelton 0-2. Opelka's been in Asia for at least 2 weeks, if not 3. Because, as you said, he played in Davis Cup here. Not here in Tokyo, but here in Asia. As you said, he won both his singles rubbers. It's just taken him a while to get back because he did have a bad injury that he was out for best part of 2 years. So it's no surprise that it's taken him a while to get back. Conditions will suit him here. I think he made the semi-finals here, actually. Opelka, a few years ago. Pretty sure he made the semis here. So quick, low bouncing, hardcore. He serves well. This. I mean, the fact that it's over 25.5 games, that's basically telling you this first set's going to go to a tiebreak. And Bet Rivers are telling me that Opelka's 2-1 to win the opening set, which is basically 2-1 to win a tiebreak against Shelton, who's coming in here a little bit cold. I think that's the value. I'm not sure whether Opelka will win the match, but he's certainly got the advantage of much, much more preparation. And 2-1 for him to win the first set is a good bet for me with Bet Rivers. Opelka to win set 1.
Yeah, 2-1, set 1, Opelka. 29 different markets available in the match with Bet Rivers. Head across to the app or the website. And remember, if you do have a bet on this match, you can live watch the match on stream on your tablet, mobile device, or your laptop. So it's an all-American clash, and we're going for Opelka to win set number 1 at 2-1. Official pick or just a lean?
Yeah, official pick. I mean, you could, if you were braver, you could just have him to win it 7-6. I haven't seen the odds on that. But as I said, he did have 5 breakpoint chances in that match against Cincinnati. The thing with Shelton, he does sometimes just throw a service game away because he's ultra aggressive, and he has a game where he misses. He breaks himself to love or 15. That's a possibility as well. But yeah, official pick there. I think that's good. That's pretty good value. Opelka to win set 1 at 2-1.
Yeah, a tiebreak in set number 1 is -110 for a tiebreak.
Yeah, odds on, you see.
If we go into a tiebreak to odds on, it's you've got the straight double, haven't you? The even money and the even money effectively for the chance of Opelka to win set number 1. Remember to head across to the website for all those specials. Taylor Fritz up against Fritz-Fils is our next match we're going to discuss. Probably one of the best matches of the round 1, actually. Taylor Fritz here, obviously another previous winner. 2022, he won this event, -375 against Fils, +285. The two have never met before. This Fritz is got to the final of the US Open, got beat by Sinner. Played in the Laver Cup last week, got beat by Alcaraz. Total games here is 22.5 as well. Maybe a popular bet here. 2 big servers. Over is -124. Never met before. Fritz beaten by Alcaraz only, was it 3 days ago in the Laver Cup in Berlin, travelling across. Fils has been playing
a couple of days
Cup.
ago, yeah. It was Sunday, it's now Tuesday, so yeah. It'll have a Thursday start, but it's still a rough old turnaround. It's not round the corner, is it? Berlin to Tokyo.
Not at all.
So he's got to be feeling it, hasn't he? He's got to be feeling it, either physically, emotionally, or both. You know, he's made the US Open final, first American to do that since Roddick, I think, wasn't it? All the emotion and everything that came with that. Then he's gone and played Laver Cup, which only finished, as I said, on Sunday in Berlin on slow indoor hard. Now he's playing Thursday outdoor hard, very different conditions, the other side of the world in Tokyo. Yes, he won this title in 2022, but he's only 5-4 win-loss here. Apart from that year when he won the title, he's lost in either round 1 or round 2 every other time that he's played this tournament. So the 2022 win was a bit of an outlier, really. It was not on trend for Fritz. Also last year, he lost as a -1,030 chance to Mochizuki at this tournament, in fact. He also lost to Diego Schwartzman as a -633 shot in Shanghai the week before. So he's not unaccustomed to losing at very short prices in this part of the year. So again, this isn't about statistics. It's about how I'm assuming Fritz is feeling compared to how I'm assuming Fils is feeling. He's obviously not played Laver Cup. Last time he played, I think, was Davis Cup, 14th of September. So that was, 10 days ago. He should be better prepared. We know Fils has got the game to beat big players. He has that in him, certainly. So that just looks a big price to me. Plus 285 at Bet Rivers, Fils to win. Yeah, I think that's it. Go for it.
Moneyline, 285. I like it. Is that an official play as well?
Yeah, I think you got to take your chances on Shanghai, in Shanghai as well, but in Tokyo, yeah, definitely. In this situation where these guys are coming from Laver Cup, slow indoor hard, now they've got to reset, start all over again. It's not that easy to do. So I'm happy to take a few more underdogs this week than I normally would. Yeah.
So plus 285, Fils is our pick. We're with Bet Rivers. Head across to the website now. Remember, the matches this evening start at 10 o'clock. This match will not start that time, but the tournament does start at 10 o'clock this evening on Tuesday. Different schedules over in the Far East. Obviously, the reasoning why we're coming on at different times rather than our traditional times. Next up, Casper Ruud against Jordan Thompson. Casper Ruud is a player that I can never... I don't know how he gets the results he does sometimes, Casper Ruud, but he does. Not in the best form of his career at the moment, not in the best form of the season after the US Open defeat against Taylor Fritz. He's up against Thompson, who they've met 6 times before, and it's 3 wins apiece. But when you look at the records, Thompson seems to get the edge on faster surfaces, including the win he had at Wimbledon in 2021, where he won in 5 sets. And in Las Cabas, when he won 6-3, 7-6 in 2024. The last meeting was in Barcelona, where Ruud won 6-1, 6-4 on a clay court, as you would expect. The money line here suggests Ruud is the heavy favourite, -175. Thompson is plus 140. 2.5 the spread, 22.5 is the total. And like I say, a lot of data to go on. 3-3 on the head-to-head record.
Yeah, he's not in great form, is he, Casper Ruud, as you've said. Lost to Cerundolo in the Davis Cup. At the Davis Cup, in the Labour Cup. He also lost to Henrique Rocha in Davis Cup a week before that on indoor hard. Just hasn't looked fit, really. We were, I mean, it was me, actually, that was at that match, wasn't it? The Fritz-Ruud match. I think you were there later on in the day, weren't you? It started that great and then just ran out of gas. He just hasn't looked right physically for a while, Ruud. I don't know what's wrong with him, but Thompson's got a good chance here. If you look at the head-to-head away from clay, as you said, Ruud's only beaten him in a completed match on clay. There was a retirement, and the other surfaces, the quicker surfaces, Thompson's had the edge, which you would expect. Thompson is another player that likes playing on grass, and this surface should suit him. Quick, low bouncing, similar sort of thing to grass. Head-to-head away from clay, service points won and return points won totals. Thompson leads it 101-99. So immediately I'm thinking plus 140 is interesting. And Thompson also beat Ruud on a slow hard court in the Los Cabos final in March. And that was after 2 absolute epics he'd played in the quarterfinals and semi-finals against Zverev and Mickelson. 2 really long matches in really hot and humid conditions. And he came back and beat Ruud in the final in straight sets, 6-3, 7-6. Ruud's another one of those players that doesn't play particularly well or hasn't played particularly well on the Asian swing. He's only 6-7 win-loss on the Asian swing in his career. And in Tokyo in the past, he's lost to João Munar and Hurkacz-Giron. So conditions haven't suited him. You wouldn't have thought they would suit him. You would have thought they would suit Jordan Thompson. Thompson's beaten Alexander Zverev at this tournament, and he made the quarterfinals in Chengdu, I think, last year as well. So he has had some results this time of the year. There's also not a great deal in it in terms of their statistics at main level away from clay this season. Service points won and return points won totals. Ruud's on 104, Thompson's on 103, so not a lot in that either. It's got to be Thompson here for me. Plus 140, I think, is a little bit of value. Ruud is, as I say, he's not in good form. The conditions you wouldn't have thought would suit him, the Asian swing, hasn't suited him, and neither is the head-to-head, so not seeing much interest in minus 175 on him there.
Yeah, probably playing the best tennis of his career as well, Thompson, this year. Up to a
he
career,
is, yeah. Year of his life.
29 in the world rankings. So I can understand that. And Ruud is someone who does sometimes lack sort of interesting tournaments that knows that he can't potentially go deep in it. And he seems to raise his game for the... we said it last year, didn't we? He seems to raise his game for the clay court season. When the clay court season is over, he dips. The US Open, he dips. And that's what he did last year and expect to do the same. I like that Thompson play plus 140. It's something that I will definitely be getting involved in with Bet Rivers. Head across to the website now. The final match. Is it the final match we're talking about? We've got one more after this? I think it's the final.
I've got two. Yeah, I've got 5 here this week.
5. Oh yeah. We're sort of spoiling us, Mr. Calvert.
I know.
Mochizuki. Here we go. Mochizuki.
For a laugh.
Mochizuki. Is that right?
I would say Shintaro Mochizuki, yeah.
Mochizuki up against Hugo Humbert. Hugo Humbert is a heavy favourite here at minus 455. Mochizuki is plus 335. Money has come for Mochizuki. Humbert minus 455. Someone we've bet before at heavy favourite, and he's let us down. In tournaments, got beat by Ryan Pedersen, which I always keep referring to.
You've not forgotten that, have you?
I haven't forgotten that, no. Hugo Humbert here. I wouldn't trust him at anyone's money at minus 455. We questioned motivation with these players at the beginning of the show. We see 2 Chinese players through to the final. Now we've got a Japanese player up with a chance of upsetting the higher seed. A spread 5.5, total 21.5. Very, very heavy favourite on Mochizuki on the spread. Minus 255 at 5.5, and the total is a pick'em at 21.5. I wouldn't trust Humbert at minus 455.
He was shorter than that when these prices first came out. I mean, that's moved quite a bit, actually. Mochizuki was a huge underdog when this was first priced up. I think someone's corrected it. I'm not surprised. Anyone that saw him play this tournament last year, Mochizuki, he beat Echeverry, he beat Taylor Fritz, he beat Alexei Popirin, made it all the way to the semi-finals, lost to Karatsev in the semis. And he came here last year having lost his previous 4 matches. So it's not like he was in particularly good form and then he came to his home tournament and carried on that. He wasn't. He came to his home tournament and got inspired by playing here. And that's certainly possible. That could well happen again, couldn't it? Humbert's never played this tournament before. Mochizuki, you should imagine, would be certainly the better prepared player. It's one of them. Humbert, on his best form, if he comes in, plays great, he could demolish him. But that doesn't often happen with Humbert. It often happens for a set, but it doesn't often happen for the whole match. A good example of that was the one we had in the US Open when he got beaten by Comisana. He was a similar price to this that day as well. Again, started that match well, but just couldn't carry on. He just lacks that consistency. I would be tempted in backing Mochizuki here, either on the money line or to win a set at which is still plus money, plus 112. With Bet Rivers 2.12 for him to win a set. It just feels like this is one where motivation will be huge on the one side and questionable on the other. So, yeah, it's just a lean here because there's nothing statistically I can really back this up with other than saying how well he did here last year. If he repeats that sort of form and that sort of level of inspiration, then he could well give Humbert a decent match here.
Yeah, 27 different markets available. Bet Rivers on the spread at 5.5 at minus 225. You can actually move the toggle down to 4.5 to get a nice price. I'm going to bet Mochizuki on the spread here, plus 4.5. I think I'm going to get with him in some way to win a set. I like that play at plus money. Hugo Humbert, not to be trusted at minus 455 is the words for myself and Sean. Our final match, 5 matches, very very good 5, hopefully. And Hubert Hurkacz is up against Marcus-Giron. I can probably gather where you're going on this match because we've got Giron to win the tournament at 80-1. Hurkacz is minus 265 and Giron is plus 205. Hurkacz does lead 2-0 in the head-to-head, hence the reason why he's probably 265. Total here, high again, 24.5 with minus 113. You take your pick. We've got 80-1 about Giron to win it. Is it worth taking the plus 205 or is it worth getting with him in other markets because we want him to win, and if he wins, he's going to be a third of that 80-1 in this price. So is it sensible to go in again, or is there some value play that you like here that you think we get stuck into?
I think maybe if you're not on the outright, then just take him to win this match. I know a lot of people will think, hey, Giron, he's not going to win this. Well, maybe not, but he almost got to the final last year, very, very close to doing so. So, and this could be a good time to play Hubert Hurkacz. As I said, he's 0-3 at this tournament. Hurkacz never won a single match here. He's just split with his coach, Craig Boynton, after about 5 years. He withdrew from Chengdu with a leg injury, which I assume is still that ongoing problem that he had with his knee that he injured at Wimbledon. He hasn't looked right since then. Not surprising, because at the time they did tell him that he would have been out for the rest of the season. Seemed to come back very, very quickly, probably too quickly. Because he didn't look quite right with his movement at all. So, is he fit? Is he mentally up for this, having just split with the guy that's kind of brought him to the top 10 level after the last 5 years? It's a tournament he's never gone well at all, never even won a match. As I said, Giron made the semis last year as a qualifier, beat Felix here, beat Casper Ruud, beat Nishioka, lost that close one to Shelton. So the conditions obviously suit him. Quick, low bouncing. He's obviously well rested, as I said. He's not actually won a match since he won that title in Newport on the grass, but he's only played 4 matches in that time. So I would imagine he was perhaps suffering from some sort of physical issue after that Newport title. I'm assuming that he's okay now. It's been quite a long time. He's only played 4 matches. So if you're not on Giron already, for the outright, then I would just take him at plus 205 to win this match.
Yeah, money line plus 205. Giron 80-1 to win the tournament, whichever way you want to play it. Maybe play both if you want to be more aggressive, but play one at the 205, and if you want to take the bigger price, take the bigger price. That's it for the tournament this week in Tokyo. Game bet matches, unfortunately, minus 14.4 units on the year, but there's still plenty of time. I say plenty of time. There's only about 5 weeks. There's still time.
Plenty of time.
There's still plenty of time to get that back. So no worries. Rory on the WTA show is plus 3.69 units in profit. So and profit on the WTA show. Lots of ways to follow the content that we have here. We've got a brand new website, bettingweeklystudios.com. If you head across to the website, you can subscribe to a newsletter that will be coming your way at the start of next month. So make sure you subscribe to the newsletter. Exclusive content from the handicappers will be coming your way on the newsletter. Every day, 11 o'clock Eastern time, Betting Weekly Live on the YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and watch the Betting Weekly Live. One of the handicappers each day will be on previewing that day's sporting action, looking at the big bets that have been placed in Bet Rivers HQ. And finally, follow us on our socials at Because We Win on Twitter and on Instagram. And also, sorry, I forgot the one. Make sure you download the podcast, Betting Weekly Game Bet Match, on your podcast provider. Sean, before I let you go, give us your official plays and your leans for the tournament here in Tokyo.
Yeah, so on the outrights, we're taking a couple of each ways. Berrettini 17-1 and Giron at 80-1. Nice big price there. As far as the matches are concerned, I'm taking Opelka to win the opening set against Shelton at plus 200 with Bet Rivers. And underdogs, a couple of underdogs, Fritz-Fils plus 285 to beat Taylor Fritz, and Jordan Thompson plus 140 to beat Casper Ruud. A couple of leans, Mochizuki to win a set against Humbert, plus money 2.12 plus 112 with Bet Rivers. And Giron again to beat Hurkacz plus 205. That's a lean.
Plenty for you to be getting on with there. And remember, the action starts at 10 a.m. Tuesday evening. So 10 a.m. this evening. Make sure you get your bets down before the actions off. Some of these matches will stagger over a couple of days, but it's better to be safe than sorry. Make sure you get the bets on early 10 a.m. Eastern time. That's it for today. We will be back tomorrow where we'll be previewing this week's tournament in Beijing as well. Obviously, the draw hasn't been made yet, so we have no choice but to be able to record tomorrow and give you the preview of Beijing. So you've got a special 2 shows from us this week. So today, the Tokyo tournament, and tomorrow, Beijing. Keep a touch and make sure you ring that bell, like the content, and subscribe to Betting Weekly Studio to be notified of every time any bit of content drops your way from the team of handicappers here at Because We Win. Sean, thank you very much for your time this morning. It's nice and early, so nice to get up and enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for watching and stay tuned, and good luck with your bets this week. Take care.